Hi everyone. Let's start IGCSE O-Level Paper 4, October-November 2024, Variance 41. Question number 1. A list of chemicals and physical processes A to H is shown. Answer the following question about processes A to H. Each letter may be used once, more than once, or not at all. State which of the processes A to H happens when an acid reacts with an alkali. Neutralization. When an acid and an alkali react together, process is going to be neutralization. Reaches a position of equilibrium. So obviously reaches a position of equilibrium takes place in reversible reaction. Involves particles changing from fixed position to being mobile but still touching. Melting, because solids, the particles of solids are fixed at the position, but when you melt them, जाहिर सी बात है पार्टिकल एक दूसरे से दूर तो हो जाते हैं लेकिन फ्रीली मूव करते हैं. ओके, सो इट्स मेल्टिंग. Or a physical change is basically melting. Physical change is basically melting. And in thermal decomposition, there is a chemical change takes place because new products are formed. Roasting is basically the reaction of any element with oxygen. Reversible reaction. Combustion is a chemical change because undergoes combustion, converted into carbon dioxide. Diffusion, movement of particles from one place to another place. So diffusion is going to be the next example. Okay. Is caused by gas particles colliding with each other. Is caused by gas particles colliding with each other. Could be photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide react with water, and water is liquid, right? So it's going to be wrong. Combustion not involved in the gaseous thing because carbon solid be involved with that. Diffusion, we can say that. So diffusion is caused by the gas particle. Next question. This question is about atomic structure of the periodic table. Define the term nucleon number. Sum of proton and neutron is called nucleon number. State the connection between the number of occupied electron shells in an atom of the period number of that element. So if any element occupied the number of shells, that represents the Period number. So period number represents the occupied electron shells. Okay. Write the electronic configuration of the following atom and ion. Silicon has an atomic number of 14, which means it has 14 electrons. So first shell has 2, second shell is 8, third shell is 4. Chlorine has an atomic number of 17, which means it has 17 electrons. -1 charge means it gained only 1 electron. So total electrons would be 18. So first shell 2, second shell 8, third shell also contain 8. Complete the table 2.1. Sodium has an atomic number of 11, which means it has 11 protons and 11 electrons. And if you subtract 23 minus 11, you will get 12 neutrons. Okay. Now this is fluoride ions. Atomic number is 9, which means it has 9 protons. And obviously it's going to be 10 electrons because of the negative charge. 19 minus 9 becomes 10 neutrons. Now atomic number is 31. So 31 किसका atomic number होता है उसके लिए हम periodic table पे चलते हैं so that we can determine the symbol of that particular element. So atomic number 31. This is the atomic number of 31 and the element is gallium and the symbol is Ga, capital G, small a. Okay. And atomic number is 31. And how about the mass? Because we need to mention the mass because examiner ने यहाँ mass दिया तो हमें यहाँ पर भी mass लिखना पड़ेगा. और mass लिखने का सबसे आसान तरीका प्रोटॉन और न्यूट्रॉन को ऐड करोगे तो you will get the mass. So 38 plus 31 is going to be 69. Okay. So 69 is the mass of gallium. So 31 is the proton number, which is why it has 31 protons. How many electrons we have? 28 electrons, which means 3 electrons are lost from its valence shell, which means it occupied 3 plus charge, or it has 3 plus charge. Okay. So that's the symbol of gallium ion. By the way, 69 and 31, you will get what? 69 minus 31, you will get 38. So 38 न्यूट्रॉन्स आ रहे हैं 69 को यूज करके. जो पीरियोडिक टेबल के अंदर गिवन है वो 70 है. मैं वो यूज नहीं कर रहा हूँ, नोट कीजिएगा. ये 69 है, ठीक है, और पीरियोडिक टेबल में 70 दिया हुआ है. आई बिलीव ये देख रहे हैं 70 दिया हुआ है. सो मैं 70 यूज नहीं कर रहा हूँ. जो पार्टिकल्स की कॉम्पोजिशन है मैं उसको यूज करके डिटरमिन कर रहा हूँ आंसर. ठीक. जो एग्जामिनर ने कॉम्पोजिशन दी है मैं उस कॉम्पोजिशन को यूज करके न्यूक्लियॉन नंबर डिटरमिन कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पर. Next part of the question. A sample of thallium contain 2 isotopes, 203 and 205. Define the term isotopes. Isotopes have same number of protons and neutrons but different number of neutrons. For 2 marks, we need to mention this definition. Okay. The relative abundance of this isotope and this isotope in a ratio 3:7. Calculate the relative atomic mass of thallium in the sample of 1 decimal place. So मैंने आपको relative atomic mass isotopes के through calculate करना सिखाया था. So I'm going to use that formula. So AR of thallium. Thallium has a symbol of T and L. Mass of first isotope is 203. Abundance of first isotope is 3. Plus mass of second isotope is 205. Abundance of second isotope is 7. Divided by total abundance. So 7 plus 3 becomes 10. So 203 times 3 plus 207 times 5. Oh, sorry, times 7. Oh, my bad. Okay. And when we divide by, hold on, 2044 divided by 10, you will get 204.4. So 204.4. Answer is for one decimal place. Okay. Suggest why these two isotopes have identical chemical properties. So identical chemical properties depends on the number of electrons, as both of them have same number of electrons, which is why they contain same number of electrons, which is why they have same chemical properties. Okay. Because both the isotopes have same number of electrons. So they have same chemical properties. Remember, identical chemical properties of isotopes depends on same number of electrons. So that's the end of first question. Second, copper 2 sulfate has the formula CuSO4. Aqueous copper 2 sulfate is a blue solution. Remember this. Copper sulfate has a blue solution. A sample of aqueous copper 2 sulfate is made by adding excess copper 2 oxide to sulfuric acid. We did that preparation of salt in the class. Complete the symbol equation for this reaction, include state symbols. So copper oxide is technically solid. Sulfuric acid is aqueous. Copper sulfate is also aqueous because वो खुद कह भी रहे हैं aqueous. And obviously water is formed, and water is always found in the liquid state at RTP, and that liquid state is already given. State 1 observation which shows that copper 2 oxide is added in excess, because if it is in excess, obviously the unreacted copper is settled down at the bottom of the beaker. So black copper 2 oxide is settled in the bottom of beaker बेटा जरा मुझे 1 मिनट दीजिएगा आप. Okay. Describe how aqueous copper 2 sulfate can be separated from the reaction mixture through filtration. Because the filtrate collected the flask and the insoluble residue of copper 2 oxide is trapped on the filter paper. Because copper oxide is trapped on the filter paper. Crystals of hydrated copper 2 sulfate can be obtained from aqueous copper 2 sulfate by crystallization. State what is meant by the term hydrated. Hydrated means with water. or with water of crystallization is the same thing. Okay. Write the formula of hydrated copper sulfate. We have done that in class. It was CuSO4, if you remember, dot 5H2O. And that 5H2O is basically the water of crystallization. Describe how this crystallization is done. We have done that as well in the class. So make a saturated solution by heating the mixture or by evaporating the water. Cool the solution at RTP. To get the crystals. Filter the crystals. Wash them with cold water. Warm water use नहीं करेंगे because they are going to dissolve again. Okay, wash them with cold water and dry them on filter paper. Next, aqueous copper to sulfate undergoes electrolysis using graphite electrodes. State why aqueous copper to sulfate conducts electricity. Because copper to sulfate is an electrolyte because of the presence of free mobile ions. Give two reasons why electrodes are made up of graphite. First of all, graphite conducts electricity. And number two, graphite is inert or unreactive. Describe how the appearance of the electrolyte changes during the electrolysis of aqueous copper to sulfate. During the electrolysis of copper to sulfate, the copper ions are discharged at cathode in the form of copper metal. So the concentration of copper ions in the electrolyte with time decreases. So when the concentration of copper ions with time in the electrolyte decreases, the blue solution of copper to sulfate becomes lighter and eventually it turns into colorless. Okay, or in other words, you can say that blue solution fades away. So what we can write here is a blue solution turns colorless due to the decrease in the concentration of copper ions. Describe what is seen at the cathode during the electrolysis of copper to sulfate. Pink brown solid deposited at cathode. Yeah, pink solid is deposited at cathode. Write ionic half equation for the reaction at anode. And obviously hydroxide ions discharge at anode. So oxygen gas is given off And the equation for this formation of oxygen can be written in this way. All right, we have done that in class. Okay, state two differences seen if the electrolysis is repeated using copper electrode instead of graphite electrode. Blue solution remains same. And the second one is, when we use copper electrode, obviously the mass of anode dissolve itself because copper is oxidized into copper ions. So mass of copper anode dissolves with time. Okay, let me check about the definition of isotope. Yeah, my bad. This is same number of protons and electrons. Okay, but different number of neutrons. I'm not well today, so अगर कोई भी mistake हो, तो I really apologize on that. Okay, I'm trying to give you the best of my best. ठीक है? When magnesium nitrate is heated strongly, magnesium oxide is formed. The equation for this reaction is shown. Magnesium nitrate converted into magnesium oxide, nitrogen dioxide, and oxygen. State the change in oxidation number of nitrogen in this reaction. Okay. Over here, we have oxidation state of nitrogen is +5. And over here, the oxidation state of nitrogen is +4. Let me calculate. This is nitrate ions. So in nitrate ions, the oxidation state of nitrogen, let's suppose, is X. Oxygen has a charge of -2 into 3 because we have 3 oxygen atom. Whole charge equals to -1, then X equals to +5. Okay. Let's talk about this one. Let's suppose nitrogen is X. Oxygen has a charge of -2 into 2. Whole charge equals to 0. Then X equals to +4. Identify the element which is oxidized in this reaction. So magnesium is 2 plus here. Magnesium is 2 plus here. So magnesium has no change in oxidation state. Oxygen over here is -2 and oxygen over here is 0. So oxygen changes its oxidation state from -2 to 0, which means oxygen undergoes oxidation, right? Because of the increase in oxidation state. So examiner is looking for the element which is oxidized. So I'm going to write oxygen. I repeat one more time. Magnesium oxidation state decreases from -5 to +5 to +4, whereas oxidation state of oxygen increases from -2 to 0, which means oxygen is oxidized in this. Calculate the volume of NO2 gas at RTP form when 7.40 gram of magnesium nitrate is heated. Okay. So first of all, MR of magnesium nitrate निकालते हैं. Magnesium is 24. Hydrogen is 14 times 2 plus oxygen is 16 times 6. So 24 plus 14 times 2 plus 16 times 6 is going to be 148. Let me check one more time. हम इस तरह से भी तो कर सकते हैं इसका MR कैलकुलेट कि मैग्नीशियम is 24 plus nitrogen is 14 plus oxygen is 16 times 3 into 2. So ये जगह 24 plus 14 plus 16 times 3 is 62 and 62 times 2 124 and 124 and 24 148. इस तरह से भी निकाल सकते हैं आप. ओके, एंड दिस इज 2 beta. Calculate the number of moles of magnesium nitrate used. So mass is given. We need to find the moles. So 7.40 divided by 148. So 7.4 divided by 148 is going to be 0.05. Determine the number of moles of NO2 formed. Let's move on to the equation. It has 2 moles and it has 4 moles. So ratio between them is 2:4. So if we have calculated 0.05 moles, the moles of NO2 would be 0.1. Now in the next part, calculate the volume of NO2 gas in cm cube at RTP. So volume NO2 gas at RTP. So we is 2400 C. That's for this. Side is an ionic compound. The dot was diagram in figure 0.1 of the iron oxide. All magnesium is an atomic number 12. Figure 2, which means it lost electron shell. Okay, first of all, oxygen has a has an atomic number of 8, so its configuration is 2 and 6. Since oxygen gains 2 electron in its valence shell, so it turns into oxide ion and the configuration is become 2 and 8. Okay, so let me show you one thing. Magnesium, you need to mention the second shell of magnesium, which contain 8 electrons. 2, 4, 6. This one is 8. It has a charge of 2 plus. And oxygen, the second shell show करेंगे हम. It has total 6 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. मैग्नीशियम का एक इलेक्ट्रॉन यहां पर गेन हो जाएगा. मैग्नीशियम का सेकंड इलेक्ट्रॉन जो है वो यहां पर गेन होगा. Since oxygen gains 2 electron in its valence shell, so it has 2 minus charge. Oxygen is a covalent molecule. Complete the dot and cross diagram in figure 4.2 of a molecule of oxygen. The inner shells have been drawn. Okay, oxygen has 4 valence electrons, in fact 6 valence electrons. Because it is found in group 6 of the periodic table. And oxygen contains double bond between them, which means 2 electron of each element share together. So 2 electron is oxygen, 2 electron is oxygen. So we show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this one is 6. Okay. So they have drawn the inner shell, but you need to mention the valence shell and their electrons. So that's the distribution of electron in the oxygen molecule. And oxygen is a covalent molecule. You know that. So that's the end of this question. I don't know which question was that. Question number 4. Okay. Question 5. Hydrogen is the first element of the periodic table. Hydrogen is used in fuel cell to produce electricity in vehicles. Name the substance which combines with hydrogen in the fuel cell. Oxygen. Because fuel cell is also called hydrogen oxygen cell. So hydrogen combines with oxygen to give a steam. Give one advantage and one disadvantage of using fuel cell instead of gasoline in vehicle engine. Advantage: less amount of carbon dioxide, बल्कि environmental friendly ज़्यादा बेहतर word है. Because the steam is given off, which is not a pollutant. Disadvantage: very expensive. Hydrogen gas can be made from petroleum by two-step procedure. Petroleum is separated into different components. That's called cracking. That's called fractional distillation. And large molecules obtained in step 1 are converted into smaller molecule, including hydrogen gas. That's cracking. Name the process used in step 1, fractional distillation. Name the process used in step 2, cracking. Organic compound contain hydrogen atoms. Calculate the number of hydrogen atoms. Looking for the hydrogen atoms, guys. Hydrogen molecule नहीं कह रहे. Okay. In 44 gram of ester methyl propanoate, 1 mole of methyl propanoate contains this much molecules. Give your answer in the standard form. Okay, first of all, take out the M of methyl propanoate. So that's 30 plus 14 plus 12 plus 32. Oh my goodness. 13 plus 30, 30 plus 14 plus 32 plus 12 is going to be 88. Okay. Mass of ester is given, which means I can find the moles. So 44 divided by 88, I believe it's 0.5. Yeah, 0.5 moles. So examiner is looking for the hydrogen atom, all right? ये आपके पास है मिथाइल प्रोपेनोएट. और ये कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा टोटल हाउ मेनी हाइड्रोजन एटम्स 3 5 and 3 8 hydrogen atoms. How many carbon atoms we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 carbon atoms में and 2 oxygen atom में. But we need to, correlate ester and hydrogen atoms. So 1 mole of ester has 8 moles of hydrogen atom. अगर आपने 0.5 moles of ester determine किए थे, so how many hydrogen atoms we have? 4 hydrogen atoms. Four moles, okay? So 1 mole occupies 6.02 times 10 to the power 23 atoms. So when we have 4 moles, it's going to be how much? Into 6.02 exponent 23. So it's become 2.408 into 10 to the power 24 atoms. So 2.408 into 10 to the power 24 atoms. Let me check my calculation again. 44 divided by 88, I'll get 0.5. 0.5 multiplied by 8, 4 into 6.02 exponent 23. So 2.408. That's the right answer, okay? 0.5 mole, okay. So 6.02 exponent 23 into 0.5 into 8, same answer. All right, that's the answer, guys. I hope it makes sense to you. This is the first step, second step, third step. This one is the fourth step, okay? And these are the atoms of hydrogen. Let's move on to the next part of the question. For each of the homologous series shown, name a member that contains 6 hydrogen atoms. Alkane, ethane, because it has 6 hydrogen atoms. Its formula is C2H6. Alkene, propene, because it contains 6 hydrogen atoms. Its formula is C3H6. Alcohol, ethanol, because its formula is C2H5OH, which means total we have 6 hydrogen atoms, okay? ये 5 हाइड्रोजन है, ये 1 हाइड्रोजन becomes 6 हाइड्रोजन. Carboxylic acid, I think it's propanoic acid, and propanoic acid has a formula CH3 CH2 COOH. Look at this formula, 3 hydrogen plus 2 5 plus 1 6 hydrogen atom in the formula. That means कि आपको ये भी याद होने चाहिए, formulae भी याद होने चाहिए, so that you can decide how many hydrogen atoms we have in any formula. बहुत अच्छे से प्रिपेयर करना है आपने. Unsaturated alkenes are converted into saturated alkanes by reaction with hydrogen gas. State why alkenes and alkanes are hydrocarbon, because both alkenes and alkanes consist of carbon atoms. Consist of carbon and hydrogen only. State why alkenes are unsaturated, because of the presence of double bond Name the catalyst needed to convert alkene into alkane. Nickel catalyst. In some cases, you can use platinum. So platinum or nickel. Explain why conversion of alkene into alkane is an addition reaction, because only one product is formed. Okay, let's move on to the next part of the question. Question number 6. Natural polyamides are polymers made from amino acid monomers. And this natural polyamide is called protein, because proteins are always formed through amino acids. That's what we have discussed in the class. State the type of polymerization reaction occur when natural polyamides form. Condensation polymerization, obviously. State the term given to the natural polyamides, protein. An amino acid is represented as shown in figure. That's what we have shown in the class also. अगर आपको याद है notes तो. Complete figure 6.2 to show the general structure of an amino acid. Show all the atoms and all the bonds in the functional group. This is R. This is CO, OH, and this is NH2. Okay. So that is the general representation of an amino acid. By the way, this is going to be the side chain. इस अल्काइल ग्रुप को हम अमीनो एसिड में क्या कहते हैं? साइड चेन. So technically ये NH2 as it is लिखा है एग्जामिनर ने, ये COOH भी as it is लिखा है एग्जामिनर ने, सिर्फ इस पूरे के पूरे ग्रुप को इस बॉक्स के अंदर लिखा हुआ है एग्जामिनर ने. ओके. And also this entire NH2 group is basically amino group, and this is basically carboxylic group. Okay. Next, different amino acids are represented as shown in the figure. Complete the diagram in figure 6.1 to show the part of the structure of the natural polyamide that forms when the 3 amino acids combine. Show all the atoms and all the bonds. Simple. Carboxylic acid से क्या जाएगा? H. Amine से क्या जाएगा? Amine से क्या जाएगा? H. Carboxylic acid से क्या जाएगा? OH. And they will form water. यहाँ से भी H, यहाँ से भी OH, यहाँ से भी H, यहाँ से OH. I hope it makes sense to you, because the entire thing we have done as it is in the classroom. All right. So I repeat, carboxylic acid से क्या जाता है? OH. amine से क्या जाता है? H. तो यहाँ से भी H remove होगा और यहाँ से क्या remove होगा? OH. So let's merge the equation now. This is NH, bond continuation. Hydrogen has gone. This is C, double bond O. Then we have NH. Then this bond. Then this CO. Then this NH. And then this CO. And OH has gone. So bond continuation aa jayegi. Okay. A mixture of 3 amino acids can be separated and the amino acid identified using paper chromatography. Complete the equation RF. RF is basically the retention factor. It is basically the ratio of the distance traveled by solute over distance traveled by solvent. Next, a sample of the mixture of the three amino acid A, B, and C is placed onto the baseline and a chromatogram is allowed to develop as shown in figure 6.5. The finished chromatogram is shown in 6.6. Okay, ये परफॉर्म किया और जब परफॉर्मेंस हो गई, कंप्लीट हो गया, तो ये फाइनल क्रोमेटोग्राम आया. नाउ वी हैव टू स्पॉट्स. ऑलराइट, दो स्पॉट्स हैं, याद रखिएगा, इनसे रिलेटेड कुछ बातें. वो स्पॉट जो ज्यादा डिस्टेंस कवर करता है मोर सॉल्युबल होता है और जो डिस्टेंस कम ट्रेवल करता है वो लेस सॉल्युबल होता है. ओके, the amino acids A, B, and C are colorless. Water is used as a solvent. Explain why the baseline is drawn in the pencil. Because pencil is insoluble in water and cannot interfere with the mixture. State the type of substance used to make colorless amino acid visible on the chromatogram. In order to visualize the amino acid, I'm going to use a locating agent, and that locating agent is called ninhydrin spray. So apply ninhydrin spray as a locating agent. Explain why in figure 6.6 only two spots are seen from the mixture of three amino acids. Because ये टेक्निकली दो हैं, लेकिन इसमें से एक ओवरलैप हुआ होगा. ठीक है, सो एक सेपरेट नहीं हुआ, थ्री में से एक सेपरेट नहीं हुआ, इसलिए उसके स्पॉट्स अपीयर नहीं हुए. बिकॉज ओनली टू are soluble in water and the third spot has weak affinity with the water molecule. दो जो है वो soluble in water में, इसलिए सेपरेट हो गए. एक जो है उसकी एफिनिटी वाटर के साथ कम है, इसलिए वो डिसॉल्व नहीं हुआ, सेपरेट नहीं हुआ. Suggest how the experiment can be changed to separate all three amino acids. Use another solvent. And repeat the experiment. So repeat करो experiment को, solvent change कर लो. That's the end of this paper.